we welcome the night.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Horror Night Oasis, a radio show where we discuss all the latest movies and news in the world of horror. Joining me tonight, as always, is my co-host Ian. Ian, are you there?
I am here.
Getting a little tongue-tied because I'm ready for this marathon to kick off, and we're ready to kick this marathon off with one that's I've been looking forward to checking this one out. Of course, we have our opinions on everything when we get to it, but we got to go back. But before we go back, how's everything going with you?
Been better.
yeah, it's about the same on my end, so nothing really new.
Yeah.
But it's just day by day. And again, as we said, that's the whole reason we're doing these marathons. And now, as it's July, we get to kick off our Indie-Pendence Horror Marathon. And I'm, like I said earlier, and what I said a few weeks ago, I'm always looking forward to the indie stuff. And we always, there's always a lot to say when it comes to these marathons, especially this month in general, because it's always been our, one of our more popular months in general, because it's just a fun, no matter what we say about the films, it's still fun because we get to, learn, well, not learn, but, see more, underground, low-budget horror, and it's always fun, especially with tonight's episode where we are going to be kicking off one where we actually had the director on 3 years ago, Ian. 3 years ago, episode 93. I did a whole week getting ready for this show, and I did the trailer, I did the interview, throwback interview, and just to get people caught up, for those interested, to check out the pre-production stages of when it was just an idea and a script, and now we're here 3 years later. Almost to the day, really, from that interview. Maybe a little bit later, of course, but it's still 3 years. But we're here to talk about Scream for Summer. This is a film by Cheyenne Gordon, again, who we had on the show. He wrote the screenplay, directed it. He also stars in it. So he did a lot of, and I think he did the special effects too, the limited gore effects that the film has. And he had a lot under his belt, but nonetheless, we gotta be honest. And I'm sure when we do these reviews, we're completely honest. So, Scream for Summer. When we had Cheyenne on, he wanted to do a throwback to '90s horror, because again, they're always doing 80s throwbacks and all these other films like The Sleeper and just those films is like modern films, which, like The Editor was like a throwback to Giallos and all that stuff. So it's like, he wanted to do a throwback to the 90s and, those early, sort of, again, early thousands. I kind of got a little early thousands vibe in there, too, for slasher-wise. But, again, the main ad aesthetic was, that 90s feel to it. In the vein of Scream, of course, was what he said. And so let's get into the synopsis of the film. So it takes place in, I think it was like Geneva, Ohio. So it's middle of, just somewhere in Ohio. And there's this, it's sort of, not really, it's sort of a tight-knit town. But before the film starts, we're introduced to the opening scene where a couple one girl gets killed at a party. And that sets in motion the rest of the film. And our main character, Sam, is dealing with the death of her boyfriend, who died a year earlier. And he drowned at the marina that she works at. And so her and a bunch of friends, they congregate all the time, and just like minor conversation here and there. It's more than minor, but just very heavy conversations. And you have Brody, who is Roman Josert, who we had on the show as well. He's in the film. He did the editing as well, so he put the film in motion. And so he helped produce and did a lot of stuff from like Studio 605. They're a very tight-knit family over there in that studio, and Jonestown's filmed. There's a lot of Easter eggs too from like previous films. I don't know if you caught that, Ian. There's just a lot of Easter eggs because we've seen most of their stuff, and just seeing like what are you watching on TV? Oh, it's Kill Billies. Like we reviewed that, and then we talked about it, and then they're talking about. Then you can see the Wicked One mask for a little bit. It's a little Easter egg, and there's just like little Easter eggs for from Jonestown's film. So it's cool to see all that through the film. But anyway, getting back on track, and so the police, and they're in, Sam and her friends are, doing their thing, and they're talking, and everything's going, their party, sort of a party crowd. Brody, who's dating Sam's friend Tess. Is it Tess? Tess. And Tess was the sister of the brother that Sam dated. And so they're like best friends, and like there's another guy, his name's Tristan, who has feelings for Sam, but he doesn't really know how to express them. And Brody's always like busting his balls because, he's like, being that, sort of like that prick, but he's like fun at it. He's just like, playing around. Basically what friends do in a way, bust your balls. And so you have Tess and Brody, and then the other two, which is a couple, and then Tristan and Sam. That's the group of friends. And we also have Sam's sister, who Sam's sister has a story, a plot point, and then we have the introduction of Matt, the deputy, who is played by Cheyenne, who is coming back into town after leaving for a year or so, and he's back in town, and he's on an investigation for all the murders that are starting to take place, and he's trying to figure that out. But he also still has feelings for Sam's sister, but Sam's sister is also dating another guy, and so Sam's sister is kind of mad at Matt for just up and leaving. And there's that plot point, and of course the Tristan and Sam plot point, and then there's all this is happening, and then we have, of course, the slasher element with our killer going around murdering people. And that's the general synopsis of the movie, where like all the plot points, and there's more plot points, but I don't want to get too far into that until a little bit later. But overall, again, I thought it was okay, but the main problem I had with it is pacing issues. Because this film is like 8 minutes shy of 2 hours. And it's the pacing's the main problem I had with the film. I was fine with everything else, but some of the conversations, like some of the plot points, I mean, I know you wanted to include everything. I mean, it felt that way. But there's like some parts in there where I felt like could have been trimmed. Some of the conversations between all the friends, I mean, I know you want to get that feel of like everyone's, hunky-dory and fine and, playing around doing that stuff and partying and getting high and all that fun stuff. But some of that conversation just kind of, you want to make sure each, he's wanting to get each character their own central, thing and try to, make you invest in the characters. I don't have a problem with that. It's just like some of the dialogue just was not pulling me in. And there were, again, just scenes where just like, it was like that one movie we reviewed, I think it was last week, where just like the conversations didn't really go nowhere, that whole dinner sequence in the that one we reviewed last week at the diner. But this one, I mean, like, I understand what he was going for. I mean, I do. But then there's like parts there where like they introduced like the mother who's like going through like dementia or something's wrong with her, where she's just sort of, like everything's fine. She thinks Sam, her boyfriend's still alive, and like, she's, all this stuff like going through her head thinking everything's fine. And it's not, and there's like some parts there that just like, it's red herrings. I mean, I'm assuming it was supposed to be for a red herring. And just like, again, like they introduced the boyfriend of the sister, the new, that's dating Sam's sister that replaced Matt. And then there's like that conversation just like kind of, I mean, that's the introduction of the boyfriend. And I mean, it comes into play later on in the film. But there's like some parts there that just felt like a little, like unnecessary. But again, I know he's wanting to build this, all these characters and all these plot points and all these backgrounds, and that's the whole reason for, again, the runtime. You want to get all these characters introduced. You want them to have a central point of the story, and just like overall feel of, like getting behind the characters. And then that's just like, again, that's the main problem I had. I mean, I didn't mind. I liked the look of the killer. I mean, it was simple. Only thing we saw when we first was the mask. We didn't know everything else. We just knew the mask of the black with the smile, and we didn't know how the rest of it was going to plan out until, of course, the poster and the trailer came out. But I didn't mind. I mean, the killer was fine. It was just it was a hoodie with like a leather jacket over it. With the hoodie covering the roundness of the mask. I mean, it was kind of, I mean, I'll just say this. When you have in red herrings, it's kind of like, again, just to the viewer, I'm not saying anything in the film, but as the viewer, when your killer is a certain height, it's fairly easy to figure out who the killer is because it's not other persons in the film that they're using as red herrings because they don't fit the height requirement of the killer. I had that issue, but everything, like, again, I like the colors. I like the purple and the pink hues that they used. It kind of reminded me of Madman, Madman Mars, with the way like the blues and the reds were in that film. And then, like, again, I like some of the cinematography. Some of the shots they used was nice and looked interesting. And again, like they said, like the characters, like they were fully fleshed out. But like, again, some of the dialogue was just a little too much. Like I said, you could have, easily turned it down to like, I hate to say that, but like at least 140. I mean, I think you could have got away with 140 without it being too much. But just that pacing it was a little dry, but it still kept me interested, even though I kind of figured out fairly early on everything going down. Once I had started to eliminate some people, hell, I was even going like obvious choice. Well, it wasn't obvious choices, but I was like going. I was like thinking, okay, maybe he's going like a Prowler route, but that didn't happen because as soon as the film started, like, okay, maybe that's the way it's going. But it's probably a callback to Prowler at the beginning there. But nonetheless, I mean, like I said, I liked it to an extent. It just needed to be, again, a little trimmed down. The effects were good. Like the first one with like the girl in her chest with the axe open, and then later on with the mouth. And then it was cool to see that scene that he described to us as well in the woods with the axe. That was cool. So like again, like all these things, like overall, it's not a bad film. It's just again a little bit lengthy, more than it needed to be. Nothing against him. I mean, he wanted to get everything out. He wrote there, and I felt like again. Some of it was like unnecessary a little bit with some of the character conversations, and they just went on a little too long. And then like I had some like continuity issues as well, but again, it kind of made sense later on in the film when the reveal happens. But I still had some problems like the timing, like everyone's there at the marina for like the second time. And then, like, certain people leave, but then come back and pick up someone else. I mean, it's just like the time frame was like a little, but it sort of makes sense a little bit. But I've went on a little bit, Ian. But I'll let you go. You talk your talk, and then we'll go back and forth on it.
Yeah. I absolutely loved the cinematography for it, especially for like, an indie film. It looked pretty professional, like on. Yeah, that's the one thing for Studio 605 is the way that the cinematography and the way it looks. It doesn't look low budget. Yeah, no, like honestly, and there was I don't know if it was just my TV or what, but I did have a couple of audio issues where it just like one person was a little lower and then the other person was a lot higher, even though it sounded like they were kind of trying to talk at the same level. But that usually always happens for low budget films. But I loved the killer. Like I like simple killers, like. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I kind of wasn't expecting the big reveal. I liked it. I would love to get more into detail with that, but since it is still, I'd still say it's fairly. I know it's been out for almost a year, right? So. Well, like I said, he started working on it in 2017. I know they were, I'm assuming it's about a year or so, that it's been officially out. But, it's still one I don't really want to give too much away. Yeah. And I think it's going to be, I liked it. I liked it. I agree with you with the pacing issues. I think it could have been trimmed down about maybe 15 minutes of just the conversations. But it wasn't a bad little film. Especially again, it's his first film. Yeah, his first film. Yeah. So, and that's pretty good too. And I definitely got the 90s 2000 vibe from that, with the the way everyone was acting, the whole party sequences. I really enjoyed that. I'm also glad that they didn't do 80s because I'm honestly sick to death of 80s movies. It's like I get it, but let's move on to other eras. But I did, like you said, though, I do 100% agree that the conversations did tend to drag on a little bit. And I mean, like you said, you know, I also got what they were trying to do with the whole building character, you know, character development, all that. You know, that's pretty much the only really thing I had a problem with. I enjoyed the killings. I liked the gore. I liked, you know, it wasn't over the top. Sometimes, you know, like we have said before, sometimes less is more. And I definitely felt that if it went a little too crazy along, you know, with it probably would have kind of had a weird flow. So, I did enjoy that, and I did enjoy the way they executed, pun, you know, all the murders and the thing, just giving you enough to keep you interested, and, you know, then the reveal, and you're like, oh. But yeah.
Yeah, like, you know, again, like I said, maybe it's just me because I'm more, you know, I'm always trying to pinpoint it pretty obvious, and I won't let the film, like, give its natural progression to me where I'll just, like, let the reveal happen. I'm always, you know, that's the way a slasher is. You're always trying to guess as the film goes on. This one, again, just the height thing, I mean, whatever. It's my own reasoning going against that one, but that's a minor qualm. Like I said, the main thing is it's just the pacing issues and the dialogue. Some of it, I mean, like I said, Ian and I both agree, you know, what they're trying to do there. Again, it's just like, again, I didn't really have too much with it. I mean, it's a fine slasher movie for what it's trying to go for. From pre-production to seeing the finished product, it's great. You know, that's 100%, you know, off the wall. I mean, just him coming on here and talking about what he wanted to do with it and how he wanted to, you know, film it, and just, you know, the writing process behind it, and to finally see the finished product. I mean, yeah, it's your first film. You're going to have some issues, and, you know, that's what we're talking about, the constructive criticism. And, you know, again, the minor thing we had is just the pacing. And again, like I said, as we said, like 15, you know, 140, I would have been fine with. I mean, just some of that conversation and that dialogue could have been trimmed. I know that, again, his character that he plays, Matt the deputy, there's like a lot of stuff with him and like the love triangle sort of going on with him, the sister, and the new boyfriend. And I felt like that kind of got a little redundant after a while because it didn't really progress much. And again, more red herring stuff really as the film concludes. And there's just, again, I like that. You know, I like some of the looks of it. I like the way, you know, again, I enjoyed the killer. There's that one scene towards the end where Sam's locked in the bar, and like the killer is walking around looking through the glass and the window, the glass doors, and that was a cool scene. And there's some other ones early on too that I really liked. And again, the color scheme, I wish they kind of went with that a little bit more as the film went on, because it kind of like the first 30 minutes, like that was there, like when they were doing like the party scene at the beginning, and then like some of the scenes in Sam's house and like the marina, it was like the purple, bluish, you know, pink hue color shading that I liked. It just like felt like that kind of got lost later on in the film, and I thought that would have been cool if they kind of kept that. I mean, yeah, it's kind of hard to do when you're just, you know, it just randomly shows up like, oh, I'm Mad Men. It's just like, where's that blue coming from? It's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still fine. It's not a bad movie. I mean, honestly, it's fine for what it's trying to be. And, you know, again, first film, you know, you're trying to get everything out there. And, again, some stuff could have been on the cutting room floor. But, again, you're building, you know, character building and trying to get, you know, like this big, you know, sort of world building, honestly. It's like Clown Doll, but it's like done better, you know. But it's like a little like
better.
where Clown Dolls, yeah, you know, where Clown Dolls, like all this world building is just done like the most asinine way possible. I mean, with Scream for Summer, I mean, I know it's two different things, but this one, I mean, there's like world building to the nth degree. You know, it's just like every character, most characters had a background or a reasoning, and except for the other couple, I didn't really get much info on them that stuck really. I mean, it just like, I mean, I knew that they were together, but it just like they were there and Brody to make jokes at, and then I don't know. And then again, it's just like some things like why are all the guys back at the house after they just left, and then they're coming back to the house, and they just left the marina, and then they're like, oh, we're gonna come see you, and then and then there's a few little qualms that I had with it, but nothing really major besides the pacing. That's the only thing. It's just the pacing is the only thing that I can really say is not really a deal breaker, but it's just like. It felt like it could have got to the point sooner, and it could have been, you had the one kill, and then you had to have all this stuff interjected with Matt and the Sam's sister, and then you introduce the trying to figure out the murders, and then you have Sam and Tristan trying to, date Sam, and then you just have, all the other stuff going on, and it just like you have the mother and like, oh, I gotta get my mother's medicine, and there's that. Sort of stuff going on between Sam and her sister, where her sister's kind of upset at Sam because Sam knew that Matt was back in town, and then that was going on, and it's just like there's like so much in between, and where I felt like you needed a little bit, like you could have trimmed that a little bit, and then got to the next scene of the kill, and then it could have been, it could have had a good pace to it, and still kept some of the, the flow that you'd want in a slasher instead of, what I felt technically kind of didn't happen. I mean, it's not a bad film. I'm not saying it's not perfect. I mean, but it definitely has some issues, and the pacing's the only one that I can really discuss and bring up. But besides that, I mean, the kills, again, like you said, they weren't over the top. They were there when necessary. And it was fine. Again, the gore effects that they used sparingly, it was good. Again, they could have used more of the blue lights, but again, I'm not saying that on them. It's just like, I mean, I understand. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of red herrings in the film. So if you like a film with a lot of red herrings, and I think again, the look of the killer is cool. I mean, it's very simple. I mean, it goes back to like, I don't know, like Final Examination from like the early 2000s or something like that, where it's like just a dude in a mask, or I don't know, School. Well, School's out, not technically. That one's more of a jester costume, but I'm just like trying to think of like those like late 90s, early 2000s slashers that just like a dude in a mask. So it's very simple. It's very, like I said, he really goes back to like that very simple aesthetic of the 90s, slashers. Of course, Scream, but again, this one, I mean, for what it is, again, I like the look of the mask. I mean, I always did when we even got first looks of it for the interview 3 years ago. I mean, it looks cool, and to see the entire the presence and figure that the did with it. I mean, it's simple. Like I said, it's a person wearing a hoodie with a leather jacket over the hoodie. I mean, just a knife and an axe, and just go on your merry way. But yeah, I mean, it's not really, again, it's a not too bad of a watch. But again, just the issues of pacing and some of the dialogue could have been trimmed. Yeah. That's my only minor complaint. Minor complaint I had with the film is just that. But Ian, you got anything else to say?
Yeah. I liked how the killer wasn't, it wasn't an overly complex. I enjoy simple characters and with simple motives. There wasn't like this big old long drawn out backstory of why. It's just, they just were like, yeah, this is why, and this is what happened, and I enjoyed that.
I mean, honestly, Go ahead, Ian. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying this would. Jesus, Ian. Without giving any spoilers away, this would be good. The way that this film goes would be good for a certain community. I'll just say that. I could see this being, one of those films for a certain community. I think Ian knows what I'm talking. Well, he watched the film. He should know. But that's not my thing.
I was gonna say, my wife, she likes horror movies to a degree, but she likes the movies that aren't super over the top gory. And this is definitely a movie I would suggest to her to watch. And people that like that, because it's not over the top. It's not unnecessarily aggressively violent, and it's violent enough to get the point across. And the murders are pretty, the deaths are pretty good, but it's not just unnecessarily. They did it. I think that's what I was saying earlier. Was I thought they did a pretty good job with that, with the killing, because it wasn't just. It just was there's so much animosity behind this, and there really shouldn't be. But I liked it like that. So.
Yeah, like I said, just the pacing is really the only problem I think we both had with it.
Yeah.
And just again, it could have been a little shorter. And I always say that sometimes, but this is the one. I honestly think 140 it would have been serviceable, because there's a lot of stuff in there that could have been trimmed, because it felt really kind of unnecessary to the story. But again, world building, I know what they're going for. But besides that, that's the only thing I can really say. I don't really have anything else to say except for, again, as a first feature, if you're just dealing with pacing issues, you're not off to a bad start.
No.
You just want to, it's your first film, you want to get everything down and, make it, and you think it's integral to the story. And, again, it's your film. Do what you want. But again, sometimes it just doesn't come across the best way to do that. There should have been some trimming, and some dialogue just been cut short, because, again, that whole bedroom scene when the guys come back and they're on the bed just talking randomly, that felt like a little bit too long. Again, a lot of...
Yeah,
again,
I agree.
And then, some of the... Again, you want to set up the party scenes and all that stuff. That's fine. But just again, just some things just kind of went a little, on too long, and it could have been trimmed a little bit, but because it felt like, again, some of that conversation really didn't go nowhere. So it was just a, character build in a sense. But yeah, besides that, that's the only main issue I had with the film. The only main issue. So again, not bad. Usually we come on here, especially with the clown theme that we did, not the clown, but the doll month last month, where we had to go all in on one thing after another. If it's just pacing, hell, we're off to a good start.
Oh no, and that's it really doesn't feel like a first film.
No.
I've seen movies where with famous directors, that's pacing issues. Sometimes that's just going to happen, but it really does not feel like this. Feels like just, I'm trying to think of it. It's like a straight to DVD kind of thing, but not. I honestly feel like the quality could be in theaters as well. This is because we've seen a few movies that were why was this straight to DVD when this could have just easily been in theaters? Honestly, it was a beautiful film, and the acting wasn't, bad. I honestly enjoyed some of them, there was a couple of people that were just a little, but, the main people really did sell it, and I was kind of impressed with that, too, because, you usually either have really good actors and poor quality, or you have poor quality actors and high quality. And I really enjoyed how he like that they, it felt like they took the time with these actors to help them, bring out the characters.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, but that's about all I have to say, really, about Scream for Summer. Again, It's great after 3 years to finally see this. I mean, like I said, I was going to...
Oh, yeah.
It came out, like, sometime last year, like, right after the end of the, last year's Indie-Pendence Marathon. So we weren't able to include it with last year. So a year later, we're here to talk about it, and it's great, to finally see the finished product with someone we had on the show, discuss the pre-production stages, and, again, if you're just dealing with pacing issues for the first film, again, like I said, not off to a bad start. Again, I'm looking forward to seeing what his next project is. I'm sure he's got something worked up. So hopefully he'll come back on.
I'd be disappointed. Yeah, I would love to have them back on.
Yep. But again, it's not a bad slasher. I mean, it's one of the better ones, honestly, that we've kind of, again, besides the pacing issues, but for like low budget indie slashers, I've seen some pretty bad ones. I think we both have, and this is definitely not on the lower end. This is definitely, I can deal with some pacing issues. It's just gonna, it's gonna take a while, but I can deal with that to get used to it. I mean, for a shitty movie, like those other ones, it's just like, oh god. But nonetheless, Cheyenne, you did for your first feature. I mean, I give you credit, man. You did good.
Thank you.
Just do something with the pacing. That's the only thing. Again, it's already done, so I can't really say anything you can do. But for what it is, it's not a bad film. I mean, I enjoyed it. And with that being said, that is going to do it for our first show of our first Indie-Pendence Horror Marathon to kick it off with, and not off to a bad start. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the next film will be. So that's it's always keeping me guessing, trying to figure that out. And I got an idea, but we'll see how it turns out. Ian, as always, it's great talking with you, and doing all we do on here. And just stay safe and be careful out there. And same thing goes for all those listening. Hope you enjoy your 4th weekend. It's going to be unusual. That's to say because it's going to probably be like I guess people are still going to do 4th of July, setting off fireworks. I don't know about in my town. It's just like, again, it's weird. it's weird, I mean, when like usually we're
canceling.
All.
Yeah, in my town they've canceled. I live in Louisville, so with them canceling Thunder over Louisville and everything, it's kind of weird. Because I live like right next to all like the Derby and all that, so it's been a weird year. But
it's just going to keep getting weirder, and it's just going to keep getting weirder. Oh man, I hate to laugh at it, but it's just you have to. I mean, I hate to laugh at it. Yeah, because you just have to look and think about it. But again, I don't like to get into the real world, but it's kind of hard. But they are considering, doing, well, not anytime soon, but they do have like theatrical releases coming up later on, like next month in August and September. I do know that like they still got like A Quiet Place 2 planned, Antebellum's planned, and then like Halloween Kills in October. So I was like, I mean, it's planned, but again, like that Christopher Nolan's movie Tenet's been supposed to be coming out like at the end of July, and it keeps getting pushed back. And again, we'll take it with a grain of salt if anything comes out this year. I mean, I don't know. It's weird, but we don't need to be going on with the real world stuff. This is a haven away from that to talk about horror. And again, it is what it is. It's the world we live in now. And you'll play that Collective Soul song, "The World I Know." But nonetheless, Ian, as always, it's great talking to you. You have to get a little real sometimes, but might as well kick it off on the first one because it is the 4th, and you might as well, kick it out of there and get it out of your system early because it's the 4th. I mean, if this is like Christmas, like, well, what are we going to do Christmas? You know, like people aren't going to go see family or something. It's weird. But nonetheless, we're rambling. But that's going to do it for our first show of the Indie-Pendence Horror Marathon. I'm looking forward to the rest of the rest of the marathon for the month. So as always, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Good night.